Look at this photo right now. What do you see? Do you see a number of umbrellas? That's good. That means you don't need to go to the eye physician. In this photo, we have a group of 3 umbrellas. We don't have 4 umbrellas. We don't have 2 umbrellas. We don't have 916,512 umbrellas. There are 3. 3 is pleasant to us. And that's in photography. That's in various other visual art forms, and that's also in storytelling. I'll give you an example of all of this that actually happened to me today. I was watching a video by Tiago Forte, makes YouTube videos about photography, productivity apps, how to choose one. He approaches it from a philosophical standpoint. He makes good content. But he was talking about how there are 3 different types of note takers, and on the screen he has these 3 different types represented by icons, and it felt lovely. I thought, oh, this is great, 3. And then he introduced a 4th type of note taker that he had discovered, and I was filled with sorrow. Number 3 is neat. So anyway, back to photography. So while 3 points of interest in a photo is something that is pleasing to us, it is a guideline. It is a rule that can be broken, and this photo is a great example of this. We have a single person. I took this photo, by the way. You're welcome. I have a single person, a surfer, and then we have a group of 4 birds in a bit of a square shape with the surfer walking through the middle. I would argue that this photo works. Among other things, there is repetition, there's symmetry, and the photo doesn't feel off balance. It's evenly weighted on either side, and then you have the person in the middle acting as the middle person. One of the ways I like to think about if a photo feels balanced is if you were to pluck one of the elements out of the photo, if it was balancing on a triangle holding up the photo, would the photo fall over one way or another? In this case, it would be perfectly balanced. I mean, technically, the distribution of birds could cause it to lean one way or another, but you get what I'm saying. Here's another photo that sort of pulls on a group of 3, but not clearly. And when I say it pulls on a group of 3, what I mean is there's sort of 3 sections to this building, but other than that, it's not the predominant feeling of this photo. There's actually 2 ladders, one on the left, one on the right. Once again, the photo feels balanced. It feels nice. There's no 3rd ladder in the middle to cause it to be a group of 3 and to make it work. It works just as it is. Now, I guess if we want to get fancy, we could say that there are actually 4 sections in this photo. We have the bottom portion of the building, 1, the middle portion of the building, 2, top portion of the building, 3, and then the sky acting as a 4th section. And then we have 2 ladders. So we have evens. But we can see that this is an example of a group of 2. We're breaking the rules. Great. Here's a photo of a group of birds, and this one's interesting because we kind of have a group of 2 and a group of 3. 3 birds, but 2 of them look similar and the other one is flying. Could we still call this a group of 3? Question. Here's a good example. We have 3 people playing in the water. Now, what's interesting is there's a 4th, and there's actually a bunch more people playing in the water. But that the 4th person is shrouded by mist. They are separating themselves from the group of 3. And then we have these 3 people in very similar poses, which makes them work together. There are plenty of times where, and I actually think that this is one of my favorite ways to see a group of 3 work, when you have 3 points of interest, but one of them is a little bit different. And let me show you what I mean. Okay, here we go. So we have a group of 3. And we could sort of break this up into a group of 1 and then a group of 2, because we have 1 main writer as the subject, the bigger person here, and then we have 2 smaller people acting as the other group of 2. But we could also look at this as a group of 3. I love how we have the idea of a group of 3 working together here, but we have one that pokes their head out, literally in this case, pokes their head upward, as a subject. Here's another interesting example. Now we have 4 people in this photo, but we have 3 lampposts. But one of those lampposts is just a little bit different, which I think adds some intrigue to the photo. But these lamps still function as a group of 3. Now there could be some argument about that, but to me, the way that it feels, they still function as a functionable group of 3 things. Hold on, I think I'm blown out. I'm using my window as light so things change around here. Now this one's fun. Check this out. We have a group of 3 people standing on the right side of the frame. Then we have the words in the background, dock 3, right? 3. And then we have 3 sections of railing. And then I actually just realized this. We have 3 grounds in the photo. We have the foreground with this cobblestone. We have the middle ground with the water. And then we have the background with the wall with dock 3 on it. The whole photo is consumed by 3-ness. I guess we could argue that these tall grasses here kind of break the rule. We got like 7 or 9. This one's very interesting. We have a group of 3 bicycle sculptures, multiple bicycles on racks. I'm not sure exactly what's happening here, but a group of 3, and then we have 3 birds. Even though there are more birds, they are obscured. So there still is this sense, this notion of 3 birds in the photo, and so we have that repetition of 3s happening here once again. Now, this is a great example of various numbers of points of interest. We have our group of 3 shadows with soldiers here walking around, and we have 1 person in the light. And the question would be, which one's the subject, right? Do we have the group of 3 being the subject or the person? I would argue that person is, because the visual weight of a person versus a person's shadow is generally going to win. And he's also very well lit. So I would argue that he is the subject, and then we have a sort of secondary subject acting with these soldier peoples here. And then up top, we have a group of 2 windows. So you can have all these things working together. Then we have like 38 bricks. Also some interesting geometry happening here as well. Beautiful light. Now here's another interesting example of how a photo can work when you break this rule. I took this photo in Hawaii, and I think it definitely works as a compelling photo. If we added a 3rd person in there, I don't think it would have hurt it, but we still have a sense of symmetry here. I like how the points of the surfboards are angled at each other, and their expression, their body expression, is mirroring one another. And the environment itself is interesting. So sometimes if you don't have a group of 3 things, another way that you can make the photo feel more elevated is to go to Hawaii or go to some place where there's something else in the frame that's going to make it more visually engaging. Here's another one where I broke the rule. I saw this guy coming down the road, and he has 4 scooters. And what I think makes this photo interesting to me and makes it work is the idea is not necessarily that there's a symmetrical number of scooters in his arms. It's that there's a lot of scooters, that he's carrying a plethora of scooters. And that's what makes the photo kind of fun and interesting and bizarre. So we have something else that's elevating the photo as opposed to the group of 3. And then finally we have this one. This is honestly one of my favorite street photos I've ever taken. I just love it. And I've gone back to this place trying to take a photo like this again, and I could not achieve it. The person in the frame is perfect, but also, once again, we have, in her hat, but once again, we have a group of 3 lights. If it had 4 lights, I suppose it could work. If it had 2 lights or 1 light, it could work, but it just feels so perfect with 3 lights. There's such an emotional goodness about 3 points of interest in a photo. So if you're wandering around in the world looking for ways to make your photos more visually engaging, look for groups of 3. But sometimes look for groups of 2 and 5 and 9 and 907,312. I suppose that only applies if you're like an astrophotographer. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, please feel free to engage below. I'd be happy to chat with you guys. If you enjoyed this video, there's a like button for that. And if you want to see more of my videos, there's a subscribe button for that. Or you can just scroll my channel. But like if you want YouTube to maybe tell you that I posted a new video, subscribe. And the bell too. I never asked for that, but the bell helps, I guess. I appreciate you guys. Have a lovely day. Until next time. Bye.